Hey everybody, good evening. So my name is Andrew, and I want to do a quick video talking about my experience at 30 Seconds to Mars Monolith Tour 2018. So this was a tour with 30 Seconds to Mars, the alternative band headlining the show with direct support from Walk the Moon, along with Mr. Wives and Joywave. And so I saw the show last night in Bristow, Virginia at Jiffy Lube Live. It's an amphitheater a little bit from my house. And it was my second time seeing 30 Seconds to Mars. I actually saw them on the Carnivores Tour in 2014 with Linkin Park. And I'll be honest, that show totally blew me away. Between Linkin Park and 30 Seconds to Mars, I didn't really know what to expect. I'd kind of grown up with both bands. I grew up with A Beautiful Lie, Love, Lust, Faith, and Dreams. This was something I came to love when it came out after a while. This Is War, something I grew up with for a long time. So these records were really, really special to me. And seeing Linkin Park, I'd always wanted to do that as well. But 30 Seconds to Mars really kind of added a new element to the show that I wasn't expecting to be as great as it was. So coming and seeing them for the second time, I had something in my mind, I guess, to compare it to. I had an amazing experience the first time going and seeing them, and so I wanted to see if this tour would, surpass that, and if it could be even more of an amazing experience as it was the first time. Currently, they're touring on their America album, which was an album I honestly wasn't really that big of a fan of. I thought it wasn't really the direction I really wanted to see them go with the band. I thought it was a little bit too much of a mainstream jab. It's kind of stepping onto the pop charts, which I found really to be interesting, especially given that Jared Leto is in his 40s. I thought it was really interesting. So that said, I wanted to give this tour a try, see how it would go, because like I said, they were so good the first time, and I was initially skeptical about the Love, Lust, Faith, and Dreams album, and that show really kind of opened me up to that record and showed me that I can love that record too, even though it was a different sound. So anyway, so I have the set pulled up right here. I have the set list. I'm going to go through each song that was played. So they played Monolith, Up in the Air, Kings and Queens, This Is War, Dangerous Night, Do or Die, Hail to the Victor, Rescue Me, Pirates of Varanasi. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Great Wide Open, Remedy, which was sung by Shannon, the drummer. I just said Remedy. I'm an idiot. The Kill, and they've actually played that like in full, which was really cool. Walk on Water and Closer to the Edge. So they had 13 tracks, which was the exact same amount of tracks that I saw the first time when they came. And so just a few observations with this set that I saw. So one thing that I definitely made note of, not only last night, but the first time I saw 30 Seconds to Mars, is that they put on some of the best shows I've ever seen. They get the fans so heavily involved, almost to the point where it's too much. And I'll go over that later with my gripes with the show. But they get fans super involved, which I think is pretty cool. So many bands that I've seen will just come on stage, they'll just play, they won't say anything between songs, and they'll leave. I thought 30 Seconds to Mars did a fantastic job of really creating a cool atmosphere at the show. They were bringing fans up on stage. They were, throwing out these gigantic, like, inflatable balloons out into the crowd, and people were just, smacking them up into the air, and they were doing that for the whole set. They had confetti come down. I thought it was very cool and very interactive, which is something I think is really dynamic about 30 Seconds to Mars live performance. Always have. Thought it was a really great part of last night. So in terms of other stuff for the show, Jared Leto sounded great, and Shannon Leto also sounded really great on the song he sang, which was Remedy. I thought the vocals were pretty good. Everything sounded pretty cool. They actually had a touring member off on the side of the stage that was playing bass and some of the guitar parts, so while it was just Jared and Shannon Leto like on stage, ultimately being the forefront of the band, there were members off to the side that were touring that were actually playing the songs. They did have backing tracks on a few songs, actually probably most of them, but they actually had members playing songs. So, for example, like the violin parts on a lot of their older stuff, like that's obviously going to be a backing track, but most of the songs, they were actually played by people. They just happened to be toward the back of the stage. But one thing I really liked also about the show was the aesthetic. One thing I really dug about the Love, Lust, Faith, and Dreams tour when I saw it was it just felt really surreal. They really did a great job of creating a cool aesthetic and making everybody feel in the moment, and they did the same thing again. They had pretty much LED screens everywhere. They had a 4-sided LED screen that they would kind of pull up and pull down. You could step on him if you're Jared Leto. He went on top of one of the screens, and the LED was on the bottom of it at one point. It was really cool. And so you could tell like a lot of work was put into it by crew and stuff, but they did a really great job, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. All in all, I'd say this tour, like I said, it had a bunch of great things to it, but it wasn't perfect, and that's where I'm going right now. So first thing I want to start with is that they played 13 songs with no encore, which was really unfortunate. They came on at 9:30 Walked Them In went from 7:55 to 9:10. And they came on at 9:30, and they played all the way up until 11 o'clock, which is noise curfew here in Virginia. And they didn't get a chance to play an encore. And while I understand that noise curfew laws are as they are, I felt like a lot of the time on stage they could have put toward other songs. They were putting toward interaction with fans, which is great if you do it in. If you do it too much, it can get annoying. Is my point. So essentially, what I'm saying is that I'm looking at the set list right now, and there are chant intros on probably like half of these songs. So Jared Leto would stop songs a lot. He would do chants between him and the audience, and it just wasted so much time. It's really cool to get people involved, but I think to some extent the live show kind of suffered as a result of it. I think that they really wasted a lot of time just doing the chants between people, getting the crowd hyped, which, like I said, I understand you want to do that, to build excitement with the crowd, but they almost did it too much. I think they could have really put in some deeper cuts, added a few more songs if they had just kind of stopped doing that as much, which was unfortunate. There was one section of the song, of the show right before Do or Die, where Jared Leto just kept going back and forth between the left and the right side, getting each side to chant louder. And then after that, he brought up fans onto stage, which took like 5 minutes in itself, and then had the fans decide which side was louder, which was cool, but it dragged on way too long. They could have played, a song from like the deeper cuts from a later album. They could have played something from back in the day. Like, I feel like they just kind of wasted some time on that. And that's just something that was kind of a common theme throughout the night. While it was awesome to see Jared Leto get involved with the crowd and be the dynamic frontman he is, and we all know him to be, I just feel like they wasted so much time that they could have put toward music or maybe even an encore. So that's my main gripe with it. And number two, and I've been seeing this kind of on a lot of reviews on Ticketmaster and stuff, because I was reading reviews before I bought tickets, is that, Jared really doesn't sing that much. Because of that crowd involvement, he's holding the mic up to the audience and going, sing, probably about 40% of the time. And I thought that was a little disappointing, I'll be honest with you. For example, the song This Is War, he probably sang half of it or less, which was really unfortunate because that song is one of my favorites in their catalog. So just between all that, I was a little bit disappointed with the constant sing and point it out to the audience. So that was a little bit disappointing. And one more thing I wanted to hit on that was a little bit disappointing, and I'm not trying to keep taking a metaphorical crap on this tour because I really did enjoy it, is that it was disappointing to see the turnout. Actually, the venue we went to last night, it's 25,000 people, holds 25,000 people. It's had bands like Journey, it's had country artists like Luke Bryan, Tim McGraw all show up and play. And last night, they had 6,000 people, which made it super easy to get out of the show. But a good example is my girlfriend and I, we bought tickets for the lawn. And a staff member at the venue literally gave us a free pit ticket to go up to the front because so few people had bought pit tickets. And so it was just kind of unfortunate to see, just people weren't really given, coming out and showing support to good music. So that's not necessarily the band's fault, but I think that was just kind of, a little bit sad to see because, so many artists will go, or so many fans will go and they'll pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars to go see artists like Lil Pump and, 6ix9ine and all these artists that, really don't do anything for music. And then, bands like 30 Seconds to Mars that have been a really dynamic band and have had a great career. They barely pack out. They can barely bring people to an amphitheater. So that was unfortunate to see. Overall, did I have a fun time with this tour? Yes, I did, despite my criticisms of it. One thing I will say is that I was ready for those criticisms. I have been reading up on the reviews, and I had seen that. I was kind of ready for that. But nevertheless, I had a good time. 30 Seconds to Mars is a band that, like I said, I've grown up with. It's a band whose music is always near and dear to my heart. And, regardless of, how many people show up, regardless of how little or how much Jared Leto sings the songs, I'm still going to love those songs because they're attached to memories. And those concerts are now attached to memories, Like, I bought a t-shirt from last night because, I ended up being in the pit, like 15 feet from Jared Leto. So it was cool. would I recommend this tour? I would say yes. If you're a 30 Seconds to Mars fan, go check it out. One thing I'll say is that, you know, I've seen 30 Seconds to Mars twice now. If they're coming back, I probably wouldn't see them unless they were coming with a different band. So, for example, they toured last year with Muse. Like, that would be an amazing show. I would totally go to that. However, would I see them again on their own? I've seen them twice, probably not. So, if you're looking for a cool rock tour this summer with some good bands on them, and Walk the Moon and Mr. Wives and Joywave, that were all great, you know, in their own respects, and you just want to kind of go to a show, you know, have it not be too packed, and, you know, possibly have a chance to get up in the front and enjoy some good music, go for it. So, yeah. Anyways, this was my thoughts, my initial reaction on 30 Seconds to Mars. Feel free to check out my other videos. Hit the subscribe button if you feel free. But yeah, have a good night, guys. Thanks.